Hey guys, and welcome. I have been on a bit of a French cinema kick lately, and after watching Calvaire, it seems like no matter what I watch, Laurent Lucas is in it. So, needless to say, I have now become a big fan, and I've been seeing him in all of these weird body horror movies. So, I really want to share those with you. And that I wanted to touch on Another thing I wanted to touch on was that depending on the video, it seems like I've either kept my reviews spoiler free or the exact opposite, where I've described the movie basically from start to finish. From now on, I am gonna attempt to stick with the former as I want you guys to discover these features for yourself. So, unless I clarify that I will be discussing spoilers, moving forward, I will no longer discuss the entire plot of the movie or the ending. However, if any of you do prefer a play by play of a specific movie, then I would, of course, be happy to do that as long as you let me know. So, for now, let's get to the meat of the video and talk about some great body horrors that I watched lately, which do not get talked about enough. We are kicking off with a movie I have been so excited to talk about, and that movie is In My Skin. Directed by and starring Marina Davant, you've got to admit, acting in your own film is risky business. Directing yourself while carrying nearly every scene is either confidence, bordering on arrogance, or a necessity born from knowing that no one else could inhabit this headspace. And watching the finished product, I lean toward the latter. The movie follows a woman named Esther, whose life looks perfectly normal on the outside. In the first few minutes, we're introduced to her partner, who is played by the one and only Laurent Lucas. Friends and her job, but pretty quickly, a minor accident begins to spiral into madness. And one night, while out partying and drinking, Esther loses her balance and trips, which results in a pretty bad cut. At first, Esther ignores it, but she soon becomes obsessed with the wound, and picking on her body becomes a compulsion. She doesn't immediately realize or acknowledge that her behavior is problematic, but it doesn't take long for the situation to get out of control. And I really enjoyed this movie. I can't believe that it has a Rotten Tomatoes rating of 66%, and I thought that it deserved so much more than that. I can't help but wonder how the protagonist performed this role in such a believable way. Her portrayal of someone descending into addiction, compulsion, and secrecy was absolutely remarkable. She portrayed acting on an impulse, which then in turn transformed into pushing those boundaries further, lying to herself and all of those around her in order to scratch that itch again was so relatable. And before questions about my well-being start pouring in, no, I don't have a problem with self-mutilation. But what I'm trying to say is, it's very easy to make excuses for when your body and your mind are screaming for just one more fix, and if you don't put a firm end to that behavior, who knows where your addiction will take you. The movie is really uncomfortable, and there are many scenes of self-mutilation in which the protagonist slowly revels. Her micro-expressions, her inability to control herself, and the turmoil you can see so clearly in her eyes. I genuinely thought that the movie was excellent. And not only from the side, which shows the physical aspect of this obsession, but also, and well, especially, the mental anguish and the effect it has on Esther's relationships. Although we don't get to see the story through her partner's eyes, we see him struggle and deal with this situation that he is in no way prepared for. The film's portrayal of their relationship is complex and multifaceted, and it seems like it's something that could happen to anyone. And I remember thinking about halfway through the movie that this movie was not interested in pleasing anyone. It didn't soften itself for the audience, and it definitely won't resonate with everyone because of that. There's no apocalyptic stakes, no world-ending threat, and the crisis here is small, personal, and almost invisible. But it feels enormous to the character, and understandably so. But it's a good reminder that you could be sharing a drink with someone and have no idea what's happening just beneath the surface. Or beneath the skin. Sorry, had to. So yes, it's great. It's uneasy, it's restrained, it's deeply personal. Great. But if you're drawn to films that feel less like stories and more like experiences, In My Skin is worth your time. And the next movie I wanted to talk about, and I have seen it mentioned here and there, but I think it deserves to be introduced to an even wider audience, and that movie is Raw. And it's a coming-of-age story. It was directed by Julie Ducournau, who more recently also directed Titan, which I mentioned in my last, or second to last video. And the movie follows Justine, a young woman starting her first year at veterinary school. She arrives with these tight rules. You know the type, or maybe you were the type. But even though one would expect a vet school to care about boundaries, this one doesn't. And to top it all off, Justine's sister, the person Justine was hoping to rely on during this first tough months, she doesn't seem to be the warm, welcoming, ready to help presence that the girl was really hoping for. Oh, and by the way, her father is played by the one and only Laurent Lucas. And from day one, things start going the wrong way, and excessive hazing is being passed as tradition and bonding. Raw does a great job of showing you how environments shape behavior. There's a slow erosion of resistance due to Justine's desire to belong, and despite being vegetarian, she ends up eating rabbit liver during a hazing ritual, which then marks the beginning of her obsession with cannibalism. We soon learn that Justine is both compassionate and predatory, nurturing and violent, and the film never suggests that these traits cancel each other out, but it lets them coexist in the same body. And one of the film's sharpest decisions is the refusal to isolate Justine as a singular monster. Her older sister, Alexia, looms over the narrative as a cautionary figure and as an accomplice. And it takes a while to figure out who she really is and what her motives are. Where Justine is hesitant and confused, Alexia is reckless and already fluent in transgression. Their relationship pulses with rivalry, affection, and resentment. The sound design does a lot of the movie's heavy lifting too. The crunch of teeth, the wet pull of skin, and the shallow breathing. The director often withholds music during key scenes and forces the audience to sit with bodily noise. And when music does appear, it's abrasive, electronic, and restless. It mirrors the character's inability to settle into their own skin. Another thing I really liked about Raw is that because of how complex the characters were, their relationships have depth, and the actors' performances really were top-notch. The director's passion for the project was clearly shining through, as in this movie, every detail mattered. It was refreshing, and the erratic shots made the movie exciting. If I had to choose though, I did prefer In My Skin. It just really struck a chord with me. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and if you have any body horror movies you'd like to share with me, please drop those recommendations in the comments down below. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and or subscribe. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.